What's up, everybody? This is Azariel, and I'm here to review Power Rangers Samurai for the Nintendo DS and the Wii. But as you know, this is a Nintendo DS channel, so of course I'm going to be reviewing the Nintendo DS version and only going by that. I haven't played the Wii version. I haven't seen any playthroughs of the Wii version, and so I can't go off of the Wii by any means. I'm only going off the Nintendo Wii. So understand that when you're listening in on this playthrough. Alright. Power Rangers Samurai. Well, first off, what is Power Rangers Samurai? Power Rangers Samurai is the 16th series in the 19th season of the Power Rangers franchise, which was brought over to America back in 1992 thanks to Hayam Saban and his company, Saban Entertainment. and Hayam Saban stayed in control from 1992 up until 2001. In 2002, they sold the rights to Disney, and then they kept it running from 2002 up until 2009. In March of 2010, Hayam Saban had bought back the rights to Power Rangers. And they announced they were going to be doing a new season of Power Rangers, which is Power Rangers Samurai. And along with that, it's a new toy line, video games, and some movies. Okay, so let's talk about the cast. The cast of this game consists of a total of 6 different Rangers. Of course, you know there's red, blue, green, yellow, and pink. But as you play through the game and you progress, you unlock the Gold Ranger. Now, what makes these Rangers so unique in terms of their theme is that each Ranger has a symbol and an element that goes with them. Now, this plays a minor role in the game, but it does lead to some interaction. Now, before every mission and Megazord battle, it's an event that takes place that shows you that Ranger's corresponding symbol. And this also happens before every Megazord battle. Now, the game shows you how to draw the symbol properly. And then it goes into an event where you have to draw the symbol as well. Now, depending on how fast or how slow you go, and if you do it in the same fashion as the game shows you, you're either going to end up with a power max or a power drain. Now, what a power max is, it just means that you end up with full energy, but with a power drain, that means that you start off with 50% energy. Now, the power disc adds a couple of elements to the game. Other than while it's spinning and it has the animation going on, it adds to the combat, and it really affects it. And as you're playing through the game, like, you'll find yourself using it a lot during the 2D platforming section as well as the Megazord section. The first being in the 2D platforming section, it adds 2 extra combo hits to your character. It also adds them an attack boost, as well as gives your Ranger the ability to save energy from special attacks being used. Like, normally some special attacks would take a lot of energy, and this will cut this down by at least half while the disc is spinning. And you can get it to spin for a while, if you just take the stylus and just flick it real hard, and it'll just spin for a good moment. That way you can travel throughout a certain length of the stage without having to worry about continuously spinning the disc. So it does come in handy as you play through the combat of the. Now, The disc is optional to use in the side-scrolling platforming section of the game. Once you come to the end of a side-scrolling stage, there's an end boss. Once you beat him, the monster enters its mega mode, and then you into your sequence where you have to like enter the symbol for the Megazord battle. Now, there's a total of 6 different Megazords, but up until a certain point, the game forces you to use a certain one for that particular boss battle. And the entire like combat scheme for the Megazord battle is that you're like constantly spinning this power disc. And what this does is it builds up this meter that you have on the side of your Megazord. Now the monster has one too, but I'm gonna get to that in a second. Now the faster you spin the disc, the faster the meter builds up, and once it builds up to a certain point, then you'll be able to attack the monster. And then you have something else to worry about on top of that, because just because you like hit attack doesn't mean that you will necessarily hit the monster. After you push attack, once your meter is filled up, you have to make sure that you click it again at the right moment in order to deliver damage to the monster. Now, like I said before, the monster, while you're building up your meter, the monster's meter is also increasing at a constant rate. So once that monster's meter builds up, it will attack you. And there's ways to fend off those attacks, which is by blocking. And how do you block during the Megazord battle is that once the monster's meter is filled and it attacks you, you have these buttons that will pop up, and they will say either block or miss. Now, depending on depending on how far you are in the game, like either 1 to 4 buttons will pop up that will either say block or miss. And your goal is to hit all the ones that say block in order to successfully fend off this monster's attack. If you click on the ones that say block, all the ones that say block, then you will successfully have fended off that attack, as well as like build up some meter for doing that. But if you click on the one that says miss, then you won't block it and you'll receive damage. Now, if your attack meter just so happens to like fill up from you successfully blocking a monster's attack, then you're able to do a counter attack, which does more damage, but it follows the same rules as if your Megazord's attack meter had built up. So after you click counter, you have to make sure that you press it again at the right moment so that you can successfully do damage to the monster. And you know, it goes back and forth from like that, and that's how the Megazord battles go. And like once you beat the Megazord battle, you beat that stage, you cleared it. Congratulations. And then you know the game will go through all this scoring and ranking, etc., etc. Alright, so let's talk about some of the things I liked about the game. First off, this is one of those games that I've been waiting for a long time. The reason why I said that, because we haven't seen a decent Power Rangers side-scroller like since the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo era. So that's a long time when you think about it. We haven't seen one for that long. And I was happy when I heard that that Saban had bought the rights to Power Rangers back from Disney, because something just told me that, you know, they were going to try to push this product through as many avenues as they could. And this game is one of those avenues, and I'm glad they released this. this is a Nintendo DS game, so I wasn't expecting it to be too hard. So, but I did expect it to have some challenge, which it did. It had some challenge, but really that was only during the Megazord battle, and even that wasn't as challenging as I thought it would be. But for what it was, they made a pretty decent game. It wasn't a hard game. It wasn't a difficult game. It's a pretty easy, fun game to play. You know, it's not necessarily boring. You know, like a lot of people would complain about the graphics and all of that. I mean, understand that this is the Nintendo DS. You know, like, don't expect PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 graphics. You know, it's the Nintendo DS for what it is. It's a decent game. It does follow the storyline of Power Rangers Samurai pretty well, up until the point where it is, like where the game ends. And it does a good job at it. And I think that another smart move that Saban did was that they only released this game on the Nintendo Wii and the Nintendo DS. Not because they didn't necessarily think anybody wasn't going to buy it for the PlayStation 3 or the Xbox 360. It was just because, think about it, some of the major games that were highly anticipated are on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. And when people have a choice between, you know, this game or that game, they're going to pick this game over here. Like, you know what I mean? And they wasn't trying to make a too difficult of a game for the public. Because understand that this game is like primarily meant for kids, so they wasn't going to make it too difficult. And they weren't going to try to make it too hard to play, you know? So, trying to factor that in, there was no way that this game was going to be able to compete with games like Gears of War and Modern Warfare 3, etc. So it was a smart move by them to only release this for the Nintendo DS, being that the Nintendo DS is near its lifespan's end, and everybody's moving on to the Nintendo 3DS. Yeah, like it almost slipped my mind for a minute, but yeah. But some of the negatives that I have is that it kind of contradicts my like what I like about it. But hey, some of the things that I don't like about it is that, one, it's very repetitive. The combat system is very repetitive. Like pretty much out of all 6 Rangers, only one actually has some variety value to them. Outside of the special moves that the Rangers have, I'm talking about like just basic combat moves. Like the Gold Ranger is the only one who seems to have a separate identity away from the rest, because let's face it, like if you watch my playthrough, outside of the special moves, you're basically playing with the same Ranger, and they didn't necessarily try to, you know, give anything outside of the special move category to each Ranger that can give them some type of identity. But it's an easy game, and for, like I said, for what they were trying to do, I do give them props on that. I do think it's a step in the right direction. like despite my negatives. But yeah, but overall, the game is very simple. And anybody outside of Power Rangers, I seriously doubt they would give this game a try because, like I said, it's super easy. It's like, oh, and another one of the negatives, I almost forgot. It's very short, but then again, around the time when they released it, like they only had so many episodes of Power Ranger Samurai out, so it follows it up until that point. So it does its job, but that doesn't take away from the fact that the game is still short, you know, and that is a negative for me. It is very short. Like you could beat it in less than an hour. Like that's just how short it is. Now the game does lend itself to having some replay value to it because you want to access these other areas, like just to see what all of these bonuses are. Because I've looked on every website they have on the internet, and there's no like way to discover what the passwords are in this game or what they do or whatever. So, you know, it's a fairly easy game. Like it's easy to replay. Like you'll end up going back through each stage, like accessing the different areas with the different ranger. After you unlock the gold ranger, you might decide to go back and replay the stages and access some of the areas that were only accessible by him, like prior to you not having him on your team. But all in all, Power Rangers Samurai, for the like all the Power Rangers fans that understand what Saban was trying to do, like they would probably give this game a 6 out of 10. But we have to look at the game for what it is, the actual length of it, the graphic quality, and you know, like just the repetitive gameplay of it. To me, I'm gonna have to give Power Rangers Samurai a final score of 5.1 out of 10. It's an average game. It's short, and I probably was giving it some leeway because, like I said, I understand what they were trying to do. So, somebody who isn't a fan of the series would probably just give this game like a 4 because, like I said, it's super short. You can beat this game in less than like an hour or like a little over an hour or probably even less depending on how like how fast you play it or how much you play it. But yeah, like this is my first official review. Power Rangers Samurai for the Nintendo DS. Like maybe the Nintendo Wii version is better, which I'm pretty sure it is, because any video game that has a console release and then has a handheld release, the handheld is just a watered down version of the console release. So I'm pretty sure that the Nintendo Wii version can get like a higher rating than like what I gave it. So that was my review of the Nintendo DS version of Power Rangers Samurai. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like this was my first review, so don't, you know, expect it to be, well, I hope you didn't expect it to be like oh so perfect. You know, like I'm still getting used to talking in front of the camera. It's definitely not my strong suit, but I'm getting there. And with time and your assistance, I'm gonna make it. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. And as always, peace. Now for our ending theme.